I'm going to be as quick as I can with this video. The man cave is right under a tree, and it is particularly windy, as you know, at the moment. So let's cut straight to the chase. When I say cut straight to the chase, let's talk. I just want to mention Michail Antonio first. I was delighted with the final update from the club yesterday. Like everybody else, not going to pretend otherwise. I was fearing the worst. Social media some people said, social media was really good. I found 3 really inaccurate social media posts yesterday, which were bad, and they had given inaccurate medical updates. So I was really pleased with the club for clarifying and saying that he was conscious and he was communicating. I think that's great news. Like everybody else, how is he? Has he survived? Were there any children in the car with him? And sometimes you see something you wish you could have unseen. People were posting pictures of the wreckage and whatnot. So it's. I just hope he's okay. I hope he can get home for Christmas. Football is not important at all, and I'm about to whinge about managerial candidates and maybe Tim Stuyton and David Sullivan and Lopetegui. I'm about to moan about those, but ultimately it's just not important. So I hope there's another positive update, soon enough. But the club say they're not going to comment further at the moment. They're not going to comment further. That's absolutely fine. I just think it was a really important update they did last night, and it was something of a relief because I won't be on my own. I know I'm not. A lot of people were absolutely fearing the worst yesterday. So the other thing I'd say is he's a really, really nice guy. Antonio is a really, really nice guy, and he's not had the best. He's not had the best of couple of years, to be perfectly honest with him. So I just really, really hope he pulls through, and it's just so much more important than football. But I am going to discuss football now because we carry on, and obviously there are things to discuss. We've got a big game coming up tomorrow, and that doesn't change. That we still have an important game. It's an important game for Lopetegui. I got to say, I've been so underwhelmed by, I think, just the way the club have handled the last few days. The club have handled the non-sacking, but I've discussed that. You know what I feel about that. I feel that we didn't handle that situation well. I feel that we hadn't identified targets well enough, and I don't feel that the club, the players, or the fan base have any faith in Lopetegui anymore. And I think it's even unfair on Lopetegui to keep him in place. I'm not even sure what would happen were Lopetegui to win the game against Wolves. I'm not even sure if that is best for him or best for the club, because I just think it's just kicking the can down the road, because I think ultimately he falls some way short of other managers in the Premier League at the moment. And you can think that and feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for him because I felt he was thrown to the Wolves in that press conference, but I also don't want him to be manager of West Ham anymore. So, but they are two different. One of them is a personal opinion, one of them is a footballing opinion. I've been completely underwhelmed by the list of candidates that West Ham have not officially put anything forward, but these are a list of candidates who we have been we're meant to be looking at. Look, if I was West Ham, and I've never understood this about the club, we are willing to hemorrhage large amounts of money on transfers. We're not cheapos. This is weird, right? This is why we're a complete contradiction. When it comes to choosing managers, we try and do things on the cheap. When it comes to buying players, we'll overpay. We overpaid for Nicholas Füllkrug. We overpaid for Skamaka. We overpaid for Vlasic. Whatever. We could all give 20 examples now. We overpay for players. No problem. Big money players. Bearing in mind, we are not one of the world's biggest clubs. We're not in the top 10. We're not whatever Paris Saint-Germain or whatever. We're not Real Madrid. We buy, once you get past those first top 2 or 3 that might pay £100 million transfer fees, we're there. We are there. We pay big money. Yet we go cheap. We honestly go cheap. We go really, really cheap. To be fair, I'm a little bit like that. I'll go and buy a load of things from Aldi, but there are certain things I won't buy from Aldi. So I'll go cheap at Aldi, and then whatever if I want something really, really nice. I'll give you an example. I don't buy like cherries and things like that from Aldi. If I want cherries now, I'll go to the greengrocers. I'll pay the big money for the nice, juicy, big cherries. I won't buy them at Aldi, but I'll buy a lot of my non-perishable goods at Aldi. I think West Ham are a little bit like that, actually, because we just seem to do our Aldi shopping. It's like we get players from Harrods or Marks and Spencer's, Waitrose, if you like, and then we go to Aldi for our managers. And there's an old saying, which is buy cheap, buy twice. And we seem to do that, and we're about to do that now, because I don't know if Lopetegui can survive the next few days. Who knows? But even if he does, he's going to come up against Bournemouth. Iraola, you would imagine, will pick us to pieces. We're going to come up against Brighton. We'll get picked to pieces by them. You can't make a case for us beating Liverpool. I'm not even entirely sure we're capable of beating Southampton. You just don't know at the moment. You really, really don't. And there will come a point where we've got to replace him. And then you're into buy cheap, buy twice. So somebody asked me last night, who doesn't know, a non-West Ham fan asked me last night, who will West Ham go out and get? Who will West Ham go and get as the next manager? And they threw forward a load of names. I said, no, we can't afford that because we basically have a severance package of Lopetegui and his backroom staff. And whilst we don't have to pay him one lump sum, they are still on the wages, which is going to stop us from being able to pay, let's say, £5 million to get Marco Silva out of his contract. Let's use that as an example, right? And it is that whole thing of buy cheap, buy twice. And that's why you always buy the best that you can afford. Now, I know Amorim is not a particularly good example at the moment because obviously he's just lost. But at the time, it was suggested that it might have cost £7-8 million to get Amorim out of his Sporting Lisbon contract. You look at the time, the club might have looked at that and thought, whoa, that's too dear, we're not paying that. We will end up paying that anyway by basically buying cheap and buying twice. I want to talk about a few of the candidates, if you'll indulge me in that. Before I do, can I please just point you in the direction of our Patreon page? Patreon's a great way for you guys to support Hammers Chat. The link's in the description below. It's patreon.com/Hammers Chat. We got big discounts on there. We got match competitions. We have got big discounts to our online store. We got signed shirts, loads of giveaways. But I think, most importantly, it's a way for you guys to help support us by carrying on running Hammers Chat, basically. It's particularly, it's been a few lean times recently, particularly in the international breaks. We almost have, 2 weeks without much content and stuff like that. It's really Patreon that keeps us going. It's our third Hammers Chat channel, basically, so you get loads of additional content. We just recorded a load of stuff, myself and Gio, a couple of days ago for there. We have videos going up all the time. So if you fancy going over there, we've got 3 separate tiers. We've got lots of offers on at the moment. You can buy it as a present for someone else if you want. You'll go and buy Patreon as a present for a West Ham fan, or something like that. You can go do that. We've got free trials. We've got half-price offers. Go and check it out. That's all we'd ask. Maybe go and give the 7-day free trial a go. The link is in the description below. Patreon.com/Hammers Chat. We'd really appreciate your support. Thank you. Okay. The list of candidates, I think the one I've been most buoyed by is probably Michael Carrick. Now, what I'm about to say now, I don't mean to be demeaning, but it is going to sound that way. But it's like having a poor choice. It's like being given a choice of 4 or 5 things you don't really fancy and being asked to pick one. Well, you probably would. Do you know what I mean? So, like being asked for your Christmas present. What do you want for Christmas? Do you want the sugared almonds? Do you want a new pair of socks? Do you want the aftershave that you're never going to bloody wear? Or whatever. Or do you want some Tottenham boxer shorts? You'd probably look at it and think, I'll have the sugared almonds. It's not really anything there that you particularly want. Do you know what I mean? And I do wonder if I think that's possibly the case with the managerial candidates who have been put forward for the West Ham job. The truth of the matter is, I don't want Graham Potter. But he does seem better than Julen Lopetegui, who I've lost all faith in. I don't want Terzic. For reasons that I've explained probably on 5 or 6 videos on this channel. I'm not going to explain it again. Don't want him. Then you've got numerous other candidates who are maybe Conce Sal, I'm not so sure. I'm honestly not so sure about him. There's no one that... Look, let me tell you now, my list of candidates would probably be... Marco Silva, would be Iraola, would be... I actually like, Hones over at Stuttgart. I think he's a good choice as well. De Zerbi. These are the guys that I think are probably the top level that I do believe... They're not top level, but they're the next rung down. If you had ambition, they would be just go and pay to get those guys. I think that's what you've got to do. However, in this list of guys that I probably wouldn't approach straight off the bat, I think the one that I find possibly most encouraging is Michael Carrick. And not that he's done anything spectacular. I know he's got Middlesbrough playing some decent football, but if we're honest, if Carrick had never played for West Ham before, he wouldn't be linked with a job. He wouldn't. But I do like what he's doing. I do like the way he brings players through. But I think in the Championship, you don't have any choice. You have to bring players through. But he came through the West Ham Academy, so there's a lot of stuff there. But he doesn't... If it was Michael Carrick or Iraola or De Zerbi or Hones, I mean, I'd pick any of those guys. I really, really would. But it does show something that West Ham have not done for a little while, and that is to get an upcoming manager. I don't believe anything I hear with regard to managerial candidates anymore, because for quite some time we were told that there were a whole list of candidates that were being lined up. There's one thing that the mess that West Ham made of the non-sacking of Lopetegui told you, it's that none of these guys were truly lined up. They weren't. It's nice to think that we'd been identifying candidates for a couple of months in case Lopetegui hadn't worked out, but it was clear we hadn't. We basically did a rush job, and it didn't work out. I don't know who turned down the job. I don't know if anyone turned down a job. I don't know if we offered anyone a job. I just don't know. You're never going to know the fine detail of that stuff unless you are in the board meeting. Right? It's not like someone in the board meeting is going to leak you news, but what was clear was whatever was attempted didn't work, and that's... Look, obviously that's a shame. If the list of candidates we are left with is what we think, then maybe, just maybe, Michael Carrick is a guy. But even Carrick, I wouldn't expect him to leave Middlesbrough for a 6-month contract at West Ham. You're going to have to put faith in somebody like that. And the trouble is, the error of judgment that West Ham made in hiring Lopetegui is so stark that needs to be sorted out. I think before any manager is appointed, it needs to sort out how that happened, how we got that so wrong, to make sure we don't get anything so wrong again. And I've mentioned it time and time again, but I will continue to mention it because I think it's one of the worst things I've ever heard at West Ham, which is that West Ham knew we needed to play attacking football, and we hired a defensive manager to do it. We went and got a defensive manager and asked him to get the team playing on the front foot. That in itself is so bad. That in itself deserves an inquiry as to how that happened and why that happened. Because the error of judgment is so great, is so big. But just putting it aside, yeah, I'm just worried that we'll do it again. Buy cheap, buy twice. It's as simple as that. And we are now going to see the full cost of that.